Garcia Haney. On paper, this fight felt routine. Devin Haney was undefeated and coming off the biggest win of his career, a dominant performance against Regis Prograis to become two-division champion. Ryan Garcia, meanwhile, looked unhinged. At the official weigh-in, Garcia missed the limit by 3.2 pounds, stepping off the scale at 143.2. While still on stage, he cracked open a beer and treated the moment like a show, all while Haney stood there having made weight. The consequence was simple. Garcia could not win the WBC belt, even if he won the fight. The fight took place on April 20th, 2024 at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Haney arrived as the WBC super lightweight champion at 140 pounds. Ryan Garcia came in 24-1, 20 KOs. Even Garcia's pre-fight locker room felt theatrical. A live orchestra played while he warmed up. The fight began with Haney boxing behind his jab, but he repeatedly stepped straight in, squared up, and paused just long enough for Garcia to time him. Instead of circling out or clinching, Haney reset to the same distance, the exact distance Garcia wants. The same mistake happened in round 10. Haney again moved straight in, hands a touch low, feet planted. Garcia didn't need a complex setup. He simply waited and fired the left hook on cue. Haney hit the canvas a second time. After 12 rounds, the judges scored the bout for Garcia by majority decision. Haney suffered his first professional loss in the ring, even though he kept his belt. Maybe the fear of God Uggs were a bad idea. Joshua Ruiz. On paper, the story should have been simple. Andy Ruiz Jr. was no longer the challenger. He was the heavyweight champion of the world. 6 months earlier, he had shocked boxing by stopping Anthony Joshua at Madison Square Garden and becoming the first Mexican-American heavyweight champ in history. But winning the title turned out to be the easy part. Keeping it was something very different. After the upset, Ruiz leaned into the lifestyle of a superstar. Luxury cars, constant appearances, weekly haircuts, social media vlogs, and food that looked a lot closer to celebration than preparation. By contrast, Joshua went into lockdown mode, slimming down, sharpening his jab, and rebuilding his discipline for the rematch. The fight took place on December 7th, 2019, in Diriyah, Saudi Arabia. At the weigh-in, the contrast was stark. Joshua arrived lean at 237 pounds, clearly conditioned to box for 12 rounds. Ruiz showed up heavier than ever at 284 pounds, smiling, fresh fade in place, t-shirt on to hide the shape he was in. From the opening bell, the fight told the story. Ruiz tried to press forward but couldn't cut off the ring. His extra weight slowed his feet, dulled his timing, and made it hard to trap Joshua the way he had in New York. Joshua, meanwhile, refused to repeat his mistake from the first fight. He stayed long, stayed disciplined, and boxed behind a stiff jab. Round after round, he moved laterally, sniped with straight rights, and tied Ruiz up whenever the distance got close. There were no reckless exchanges this time. By the later rounds, Ruiz looked exhausted, swinging in bursts but missing more than he landed. Joshua never chased a finish. He simply outboxed him, accumulated clean punches, and forced Ruiz to fight at a pace he couldn't sustain. After 12 rounds, the judges awarded Joshua a unanimous decision. In one night, Ruiz lost all 4 belts. Tyson Douglas. Question: how does an undefeated heavyweight monster walk into a routine defense and leave it face down on the canvas? In February 1990, that is exactly what happened in Tokyo, and no one expected it. Mike Tyson arrived in Japan as the undisputed champion with a record of 37-0 with 33 KOs. By this point in his career, Tyson had already scored more than 20 first-round knockouts, cementing his image as boxing's most fearsome starter. Bookmakers treated Buster Douglas, 29-4-1, like a placeholder. He had been stopped before, held no major titles, and was viewed as talented but inconsistent. The real change happened months earlier. Tyson was no longer with Kevin Rooney, the trainer who ran his camps and sharpened his peekaboo defense through the late 1980s. After the Spinks fight in 1988, Rooney was pushed out, and Tyson moved under Jay Bright and Aaron Snowell. Neither man had the same influence over him. In Japan, Tyson spent weeks chilling, late nights, distractions, and cameras waiting for him whenever he stepped outside. Training was done, but it was inconsistent compared with the discipline he had before. His opponent Douglas arrived grieving. His mother had died 23 days earlier, and her photograph sat in his locker room. Trainer Richie Giacchetti built a simple, practical plan: stay long, stay calm, and live behind the jab. Douglas was taller with longer reach, so the goal was to make Tyson walk into punches instead of smothering him inside. The right uppercut was saved for moments when Tyson dipped his head. On February 11th, 1990, at the Tokyo Dome, the fight happened. Tyson surged forward early, but Douglas kept snapping his jab straight down the middle, out-jabbing and outworking the champion. Instead of freezing, Douglas reset his feet, controlled distance, and steadily closed Tyson's eye with combinations. In round 8, Tyson briefly flipped the script, landing a huge right uppercut that dropped Douglas and created the infamous long count. But Douglas beat the referee's count and survived the round. Tyson opened the 9th trying to finish, but Douglas met him with hard jabs and combinations that had the champion reeling by the bell. In round 10, Tyson pushed forward again, still hurt and walking in behind a slipping guard. Douglas measured him with jabs, then nailed him with a clean uppercut that snapped Tyson's head up before following with a short, accurate burst that dropped him for the first time in his professional career. Tyson fumbled for his mouthpiece, rose awkwardly, and was counted out. In one night, Tyson's aura of invincibility was gone, and Buster Douglas became the new, undisputed heavyweight champion in what's still called the biggest upset in boxing history. Pacquiao Horn. Manny Pacquiao flew to Brisbane in July 2017 as the clear favorite, and the betting market reflected it. He was 59-6-2, 38 KOs, a global superstar, an 8-division champion, and the sitting WBO welterweight title holder. Jeff Horn was 16-0-1, 11 KOs. A former school teacher turned boxer who had never fought anyone close to Pacquiao's level. The fight happened at Suncorp Stadium, outdoors. From the first round, the fight felt rougher than most Pacquiao defenses. Horn did not try to outbox Pacquiao at range. Instead, rounds. Pacquiao landed cleaner punches, but Horn's physicality kept the pace chaotic. By the middle rounds, a clear pattern had formed. Pacquiao would land sharp, straight left hands and quick bursts. Then Horn would grab him, push him back, and reset the distance on his terms. Pacquiao asked, but the referee rarely intervened. Instead of penalizing Horn, the fight simply ground forward in close quarters. The most controversial stretch came in round 9. Horn charged in behind his head, pushed Pacquiao to the ropes, and landed a series of punches that appeared to wobble him. Many observers felt Pacquiao was not seriously hurt, but the round was scored heavily for Horn because of aggression and volume rather than clean shots. From that point, the crowd energy swung fully behind the Australian challenger. Pacquiao continued to land clean counters in rounds 10 and 11, but the clinching never stopped. Horn kept pressing, kept wrestling, and kept making the fight look like a street brawl instead of a title bout. Pacquiao never adjusted by tying up first or forcing distance with his feet. He stayed in exchanges he normally would have avoided earlier in his career. After 12 rounds, the judges delivered a unanimous decision for Horn. Many analysts and fans believed Pacquiao had outlanded Horn and should have retained his belt. Instead, Horn walked out as the new WBO champion, and Pacquiao left Brisbane having lost his title. Jones-Griffin. On March 21st, 1997, in Las Vegas, Roy Jones Jr. walked into the ring as the WBC light heavyweight champion and the best boxer on the planet. His record was 41-1, and he had already built a reputation for speed that made opponents look slow motion. Montel Griffin came in 28-0, tough and durable, but widely viewed as a step below Jones in talent. Most people expected a clean Jones win. The early and middle rounds mostly followed that script, with Jones flashing speed and landing heavy shots, but also getting drawn into a more difficult fight than usual by Griffin's countering and craft. By the 9th round, Jones hurt Griffin badly and backed him up under sustained fire. Overwhelmed by the flurry, Griffin deliberately took a knee with about 45 seconds left in the round to avoid further punishment. That single choice set up everything that followed. As Griffin knelt on one knee, Jones stepped in and fired a right-left combination that landed while Griffin was clearly down. Referee Tony Perez began a count. Then, with Griffin unable to continue and the fouls obvious on replay, ruled that Jones had hit a downed opponent and disqualified him at 2:27 of the 9th. There were no scorecards read, no debate at the table. Griffin left with the WBC title and handed Jones his first professional loss. Tyson Holyfield bite. On June 28, 1997, at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield met for their rematch, billed as the Sound and the Fury. Holyfield had already beaten Tyson 8 months earlier by TKO in November 1996, using head movement, clinching, and relentless pressure. Tyson came in angry, determined, and visibly frustrated before the bell. The early rounds were messy. Holyfield leaned on Tyson, tied him up, and landed short punches inside. Tyson complained repeatedly that Holyfield was headbutting him. The referee warned Holyfield more than once, but the fight stayed physical and ugly. By round 2, Tyson's frustration was boiling over. In that round, during a clinch, Tyson bit Holyfield's right ear hard enough to remove a chunk of cartilage. The referee stopped the fight, and Holyfield was bleeding heavily. immediately. After a brief pause, the bout resumed with Tyson docked 2 points. The tension in the ring was obvious. Less than 2 minutes later, the same thing happened again. In another clinch, Tyson bit Holyfield's other ear. This time, the referee had no choice. He stopped the fight permanently and disqualified Tyson. The crowd erupted in chaos. Bottles were thrown, and security flooded the ring. Tyson did not lose because he was outboxed. He lost because he broke the rules in a way boxing had never seen at that level. The Nevada State Athletic Commission later fined him $3 million and revoked his boxing license for over a year. Holyfield kept his WBA heavyweight title without being knocked down or knocked out. Decades later, Tyson and Holyfield made peace and went into business together, selling ear-shaped gummies under a brand called Holy Ears. Judah Mayweather. On April 8, 2006, in Las Vegas, Zab Judah challenged Floyd Mayweather Jr. for the IBF welterweight title. Judah came in 34-3, fast, southpaw, and aggressive. Mayweather was 35-0, known for defense, control, and composure. The fight started with Judah looking sharper than most expected. In the first 4 rounds, Judah's speed caused problems. He landed clean left hands, beat Mayweather to the punch at times, and forced Floyd onto the back foot. Mayweather stayed calm, but Judah was clearly winning early exchanges. The crowd could feel that the champion was being pushed. Everything changed in round 6. Judah landed a low blow that hurt Mayweather badly. While Mayweather was bent over, Judah threw another shot that Mayweather's Uncle Roger believed was dirty. As the referee stepped in to separate them, both corners rushed into the ring. A brief melee broke out between trainers and fighters, turning the bout into near chaos. When order was restored, Mayweather refocused and began to take over. Judah's discipline collapsed. He stopped moving his head, stopped boxing, and started swinging wildly. From rounds 7 through 12, Mayweather picked him apart with straight rights and counters, while Judah chased him in straight lines. At the final bell, Mayweather won by unanimous decision. The judges scored it 116-112, 117-111, and 119-109 in his favor. Judah's early success vanished because he lost control, both mentally and tactically, after the low blow incident. Bowe dumps the belt. In November 1992, Riddick Bowe became the undisputed heavyweight champion by beating Evander Holyfield in Las Vegas. He held the WBA, WBC, and IBF titles at the same time, something very few heavyweights had ever done. His record stood at 33-0, and he was widely seen as the new face of the division. Almost immediately, politics took over. The WBC ordered Bowe to defend against its mandatory challenger, Lennox Lewis. Bowe's promoter Don King pushed instead for a rematch with Holyfield, which promised bigger money and more control. The WBC refused to budge on its mandatory rule. Bowe chose money over the mandatory. At a press conference in New York, he walked on stage, held up the WBC belt, and then dramatically tossed it into a trash can in front of cameras. The message was clear. He would not fight Lewis under the WBC's terms. The WBC reacted instantly by stripping Bowe of its title. Lewis was later elevated to full champion without throwing a punch against Bowe. Bowe remained WBA and IBF champion, but he was no longer undisputed. Davis Roach. Gervonta Tank Davis didn't actually lose his title fight to Lamont Roach Jr., but there was one moment that made it seem like that. The bout took place on March 1st, 2025 at Barclays Center in Brooklyn for Davis's WBA lightweight title. Davis entered undefeated at 30-0. Roach entered as a respected champion from the weight class below, coming in with a reputation for being disciplined and hard to hurt. The fight itself was close and tense. Davis wasn't getting the usual clean reads, and Roach wasn't backing off the way most opponents do once Tank starts walking them down. Roach kept a tight guard, threw straight shots, and made Davis work for everything. Davis had his moments, but he wasn't dominating rounds the way his highlight reel makes people expect. Then came the sequence everyone argued about. In the 9th round, Davis took a jab, stepped back, and voluntarily took a knee. It did not look like a normal slip. It did not look like a knockdown from a punch either, because he wasn't rocked the way a hurt fighter usually is. Davis immediately moved toward his corner and signaled that something was wrong with his eye. The explanation given in the ring was that hair grease was burning his eyes and he needed it wiped away. The referee did not score it as a knockdown. The fight continued without the point swing that a knockdown would normally create. That matters because the final scoring was tight. The judges turned in 115-113 for Davis on one card and 114-114 on the other two, a majority draw. Davis kept his WBA title because a draw means the champion retains. If the knee had been ruled a knockdown, it likely changes at least one scorecard and could change the entire official result. After 12 rounds, the official result stayed a majority draw, and Davis retained the WBA lightweight title. Thanks for watching. Check out the links in the description to shop for pro boxing gear.
Wow.